Hey guys, so today I have another book recommendation for you. This is Stanislaw Lem's The Cyberiad. It's kind of like a futuristic sci-fi, like short story collection. Stanislaw Lem, he was a Polish-born author, and he wrote a bunch of short stories. In a lot of respects, he's considered kind of one of the early say founders of the science fiction genre. This is a collection of some of his short stories. And just to say, for example, it says in the opening, his novels and speculative essays are credited with anticipating search engines, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and nanotechnology, while the story The Seventh Sally and the Siberiad inspired the computer game The Sims or SimCity. Um, and actually, I might add to this that there's another story in here that even anticipates like Chat GPT or kind of like a auto, yeah, like I think in the book it's a autonomous Turk that kind of can create can like speak language like a bard that can return language, which is ironic because now there's some large language models that are called bard. But yeah, so he kind of anticipated a lot of these scientific breakthroughs and I think does it in a very creative way. I'm a big fan of this book. I would put this I would give this like a 9 out of 10. I think you definitely should give this a try and read it. Um, and yeah, and then just some of my favorite parts in here. There's of course the one that was mentioned where so basically there's these two in the book. There's these two characters. They're called constructors, universal constructors, and I believe this is based on von Neumann's universal constructors, so he got the name from there. But these two constructors, they kind of go on journeys throughout the universe, and they get in all kinds of adventures and different, let's say, kind of like problems and issues. And in this one, there's one where there's an artificial world that's created by one of the constructors, and it's so real that it's pretty much kind of like it's the Sims ends up being based on this, but it does call into question some like philosophical elements of in an artificial created world, like are these entities that exist within it, like what kind of status do they have, like what kind of ontological status do they have, are they can they suffer if they suffer in this or like virtual reality in this created world, like let's say the Sims, is it are they suffering really? So that's one of the interesting stories, but there's many others. Um, Later on, I think there's one I really like. Like Stanislav Lem does an amazing job of kind of, I think, showing that as humanity's technology progresses, ultimately we get to this point where we reach kind of like a post scarcity world, like a post materialism world where we have all material abundance. And of course, this calls into question like, okay, once we have all of this, are we going to be happy? Are we going to be satisfied? And Stanislav Lem's answer appears to be kind of in like these funny, ironic stories showing the stupidity of humanity. That even if we have all of these things, it seems we are the problem, because we're still not going to be content. We're still not going to be happy. And he kind of shows different like civilizations that have, let's say, reached like peak paradise. I don't want to go into too much detail and spoil, but for example, one of the stories I really like, there's a like a future advanced race where they basically have solved all problems, like all physics problems, all math problems, like everything material that's a problem, they solved it. So what do? They kind of just do nothing, and they kind of just wander around their planet. And also they've changed the structure of their planet to be not a sphere, but I think like a square, like a cube. So why? Just because they can. And that's kind of calls into question if we ever get to that stage in like a late stage humanity, like what are we going to do? Like are we going to augment our own behavior so we end up being satisfied, or are we going to be kind of like this future advanced civilization where they don't have any um like plans or goals, and everything kind of seems absurd in what they do? But yeah, Stanislav Lem does a great job of kind of showing this notion of like paradise and like what that would entail if we ever were to reach it, in like a very believable technology way, and also in a humorous and kind of like lighthearted manner. So yeah, this is kind of like a collection of short stories of each of his character of these two characters, and they go on an adventure. Uh, I'm a big fan of this book. I definitely think you should give it a try. Let me know in the comments below if you've read this. He has many other books. I plan on reading them. I haven't got around to it yet. Uh, yeah, this one is great. Let me know if you've read it in the comments below, or and what you think on some of the short stories. And if you have any questions about this, also let me know. Um, and with that, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you with another book review in the future.